Hello guys and welcome to another episode of my quest system series. In today's video we will add all the logic for failing and completing our quests, and we will also deal with adding rewards to our player when he has completed a quest. To get started, let's go to our blueprints folder, to the structures subfolder, and open up our goal info. Here we will add two new variables of the type boolean. First one will be called fail means quest fail, question mark. So if we fail this specific goal, does that mean that we failed the whole quest? And the next one will be complete quest question mark. So if we complete that sub goal, did we complete the whole quest? Save that and close the goal info. Then you will go into the quest info and save that because you made changes to the struct that is contained in here. Afterwards, we will add a new structure. Call that s_index to complete. Open that up. Add two variables. First one will be called quest, and the type for that will be master quest reference. And the next one will be the index, which will just be an integer. We don't have to worry about a struct right now because we'll use that later, and then I will explain why we need that. Close it. Afterwards, we will go to our actors, open up the BP Quest Manager, and here we will already add a function that we'll implement later called endQuest, which will be called when we finish the quest. That will handle removing it from our current quest actors, and adding it to failed or completed, depending on whether we completed it successfully or not. Let's give that one input of the type master quest again, and call that quest. Then we'll compile and minimize the BP Quest Manager for now. Instead, we will start working in our quest actors BP master quest, and once we've got that open, we'll go to the event graph and add a custom event, or we can also just duplicate our onGoal completed, and we'll call it onGoal failed. We'll keep the goal index and compile, so the error goes away. Then we will modify our complete subgoal function, because currently we can only successfully complete subgoals. So let's go to that, and we'll add an input of the type boolean called fail question mark. Let's also promote that to a local variable right at the beginning. So call that local fail question mark. We'll link that up here. And let's go to the right. Here, when we check whether we should update the quest description, we also want to check whether we did not fail, because if we failed, there's no reason to update the description. So off of the update quest description, we will add an end boolean, then drag in the local fail and connect it with a not boolean. So we'll check, do we have to update the description, and did we not fail that quest? Connect the end to the branch here, and only if it's true we will set that. Then let's go over to the right a bit more. Here, before we call onGoal completed, let's move all of that over, and we will add a branch by holding B and left clicking. We will check for local fail. If it's false, we will call onGoal completed and go into the for each loop afterwards. So also move that down here. But if it's true, we will instead call onGoal failed, connect the local goal index, connect that to the true. So if local fail is true, we will call onGoal failed, and now we have to worry about the case that this goal is so important for the quest that if it fails, the whole quest fails. To do that, we will just drag in our local completed goal, break that up here, expand it, and off of the fail means quest fail, we will add a branch. If it's false, we can just go to the selected in journal branch that we've got down here. So we'll just update our journal if we are selected and select the different sub-goal. But if it's true, we will have to expand our do not touch, drag in the current goal indices and run a for each loop. What we are doing now is that if we fail this goal, all other goals that we currently have will also fail. So we will drag in our completed sub-goals and add to that. Then we can make as completed goal. That over. The goal index will be the array element. The goal info will be goal at index and then connect the array element. And successful will be left to be false. So now we failed all of the other sub-goals that we currently had. After we did that, we want to drag in our current goal indices and clear that. Then drag in our current hunted amounts, clear those. Also drag in the current goals, clear them. Then we will set our current state. And we need to figure out what that is. So let's search for a select node and plug in a local fail as the index. If our local fail is true, we will add it to fail quest, if not to completed quest. Then we will drag in our list entry widget and we can remove that from parent now, as well as our quest widget. Just drag that in and connect it to the remove from parent target as well. After we remove them from parent, let's drag in the quest manager and we will call end quest. The quest to end will be a reference to ourselves, and afterwards we can return with success. Alright, so we've got that part. Let's actually select the for each loop here and drag everything of that a bit down. Because after we call on goal completed, we will also add a branch. Expand the goal info here and drag in the completes quest as the condition. If it's false, we will just proceed with what we did before. So go into the for each loop, add all the following goal indices. But if it's true, just go into the for each loop that we just created for our current goal indices. So all of those will fail as well. Compile and save our BP master quest. Can close it now. Let's do the end quest. We'll first promote the in quest to a local variable called local quest. Then drag in our current quest actors and remove item. Connect the local quest to that. Connect it up here. After we removed it from the current quest actors, we want to either add it to the completed or failed quest actors. So let's drag those two arrays in as well. And we want to get a local quest, get its state that we just set to either completed or failed, and we will use a select node. Even though the current state will never be current because we only call end quest when we set it to something else, let's drag in our current quest actors, connect that just so we don't have an empty pin here. Then connect the completed to the completed and the failed to the failed. Let's move that somewhere up here and we will call add. Connect the local quest to the element to add. Afterwards get the main widget, get the journal widget, and we want to call add entry. Again, the quest actor will be the local quest. Afterwards we want to check for some things, so let's add a branch. First we want to check whether the local quest equals our current quest. And if that is the case, we want to set current quest to null. So just clear that. And we want to get our current goal actor. Check for is valid. If the current goal actor is valid, indeed, we want to destroy it. So destroy actor. Then drag in our main widget again and get the distance border and we want to set visibility of that to hidden. Also get the map, then get its direction arrow and connect that to the target as well. So we will hide both our distance and direction. We want to drag in our current quest actors, get from that at index 0, so the first element, and check whether that is valid. Basically meaning, do we have any other quest that we can select now? Connect that to the set visibility and also to the is not valid of our current goal actor. Can add some reroute nodes here. If it is valid, we want to select new quest. The quest being the first one here that we get in the array. And for the sub goal, we want to drag off of that, get the quest widget, get the sub goal widgets, and then we will get from that at index 0 as well. That just means if the quest that just ended was the current quest, we want to check is there any other quest, and if so, select the first subgoal of that. Alright, after that we want to add a branch, and we will connect the is not valid to that. Again, we can add some reroute nodes here. And also we want to go to the left here and add the false path of our first branch to that. Because what we want to check here is whether a local quest is selected in journal. So selected in journal, call that, connect it to the branch. If that is true, we want to get our journal, so main widget and then journal. And we basically want to clear the selected quest there, so we will call on quest clicked and leave the clicked widget as null. Let's actually double click the on quest clicked here, so we can implement the functionality for that. Here we've got that. Before we do anything here, we want to check whether the clicked widget is valid. If it is, we will proceed. If not, we'll just set the selected quest to null and afterwards call update detail window. Okay, we can close the quest journal now, and let's go back to our BP quest manager. Now we handled all the logic for ending a quest. Afterwards we will see if there is a reward for the player, and if so, add that. So we'll go into another branch, connect the false path to the branch as well, and what we will do is get the local quest, get the state, and we want to check whether that equals completed, because if we failed that quest, we obviously don't want to reward the player for that. If it's false, we can just return, but if it's true, we can copy over the local quest, get the quest info, break it, and when you select the break node and expand the default category, you can check which variables you want to see. We only want to see the region and the completion reward. Also, we want to break the completion reward, and we've got our experience and prestige here. If you added any other variables to that, you will add them to the player now as well. We will just do it for experience and prestige. So drag in the third person character and call add experience points. Amount will come from our quest reward. Afterwards, we will call set prestige by region. The region will be the region from our quest info. And for the value, we first want to get prestige by region. Also drag in the region of the quest info. And then we will add prestige points from our quest reward to that and connect it to the value. Afterwards, return. Compile and save. That's it for our end quest function. And close that, and let's go to the event graph. Here we will add a variable called indices to complete later. Type for that will be underscore index to complete, and we'll make that an array. Now the reason we need that is because we cycle through all of our current goals here and complete them, but the problem is if that's the goal that completes the whole quest, all of our current goals will be cleared and it will try to access goals that are not existent anymore. So we need to change our setup here a bit. First off, let's do our onTalk to NPC. So we want to drag in the indices to complete later and clear it. Then go into the for each loop. And if a branch is true and we want to complete the sub goal, we'll add another branch that will check for completes quest. If it's false, we can just complete the sub goal right now. But if it's true, we want to drag in our indices to complete later, add an element, make as index to complete. Index will come from our get node here and the quest from our first for each loop. And then let's add a bit of space here for everything up. When our first for each loop is completed, we want to drag in our indices to complete later and run another for each loop for that. And we will just break the index to complete, drag off of the quest, complete sub goal, drag in the index, and fail will be left to false. We can actually select all of this here, collapse that to a function, complete goals, so we don't have to copy that for all of the other events here. But we'll need to go to onObjectFound now and also clear the indices to complete later. Then when our first for each loop is completed, we want to call complete goals. And here again, when our first branch is true, we'll add a second one and check whether it completes the quest. If not, just complete it right now. And we will copy over the add node here. If it's true, add to the array, connect the index from the get node and the quest from our array element. And we only have to do that once more. So go to onEnemyKilled. On completed, we will call complete goals. Before we do anything, clear our indices to complete later array. And here we have two branches, so we only have to worry about the second one. If that's true, we'll add another one. If that is false, just complete the sub goal. Condition again will be completes quest. And if it's true, we can again copy over our add nodes. Connect the index from our current sub goal indices, get, and the quest from the first for each loop. Alright, you can compile and save now, and that was everything we had to do for our quest manager. The only thing now is that with our template set up, there is no real way to fail a quest, because the enemies respawn, and if you pick up the objects before, that will still count for the quest. So we have to set up a debugging key. To do that, we will open up a third-person character. And we don't need the debug F to increase XP anymore. Delete that. See if we've got any other debugging keys that we don't need. P to add prestige to current region. We also don't want that anymore. And we'll just use the H key. What we'll do here is get a quest manager, get the current quest actors, get the first element of that at index 0, check if that's valid, and if it is, we want to complete sub goal, Index we will just leave at 0 for debugging, and we will check fail. Okay, now we have to set up our quests. So we'll go to the quest actors, quest test 1. For our first sub-goal, the hunt template, we will check fail means quest fail. And then we'll go to our talk template, which is at index 2. And here we want to check completes quest. Compile, save. One thing that is really important that I forgot is to go to your BP master quest complete sub-goal function. And here when we add the local goal index to the completed sub-goal indices, we want to drag in local fail, add a not boolean, and connect that to the successful here. So if we failed, it won't be successful, but if not, it was successful. Another thing that you'll need to fix here is in my quest journal, the generate subgoals function, it disconnected all of the arrays. So we'll plug in the completed subgoals here and also connect the current goals. Then we can compile, save, and let's play test. So if we get our first quest, open up the journal, it appears under current quests, hunt spiders 0 of 2. If we were to hit H now, it was removed, and in our fail quest it appears. We can see the little X here showing that it was not completed. And if we play again, get our quest, then kill our 2 spiders. And select it here. We now need to find the mystical cone. Let's do that. And if we talk to Ram now, the quest was completed. We now have 250 prestige in Kanto, and we leveled up to level 3. If we open up the journal, our current categories is empty, and under completed we will see my first quest ever. Hunt spiders was completed, find the mystical cone was completed, talk to Ram was completed, and we failed at the last sub-goal because the quest was completed before we completed that sub-goal. So everything is working now, and we will deal with some different regions in the next video, so see you then.